Oh, by the way, I, Tosaka am a magus. Who on earth can brag to like that? Who can I brag to like that? Magic is just what it sounds like. Magic. I don't care if you get ideas like abracadabra or whatever. You can just think of us as people who do strange things by casting spells. Though it's not like we fly around on brooms or make stars appear with the wave of a wand. Well, we could do that, but we don't bother as it's kind of meaningless. We're basically heretics who hide ourselves from the world. We're prohibited from standing out, and even if we weren't, we would rather be at home studying magic. On top of that, the word sorcerer is completely inaccurate. To be precise, there are only 5 sorcerers in the world. Things no one can do, things beyond the ability of modern science. The ones who can make such miracles are the ones we call sorcerers. Miracles can never be achieved regardless of time or effort, those we call sorcery. Those things that are mysterious but achievable with time and effort, those we call magic. That's why what I do is called magic rather than sorcery. It's complicated, but that's how it is, so just accept it. To be honest, the modern world doesn't recognize the existence of magi. Whereas we believe, control, and learn things that are immeasurable, our existence is incompatible with the modern world. Because it's kind of meaningless. Going to a normal school and becoming a normal adult will bring you far more happiness than studying magic. Human technology is great. In the past few hundred years, it has been leading the way ahead of magic. Nothing is impossible for humans. The miracles once only possible through magic are now tools and not miraculous at all. Still, magic has its good points. Just as there are things possible only through science, there are also things possible only through magic. It was the true master of the Tosaka family who said that if science is moving forward toward the future, magic is moving toward the past. Something about the past and future ending up at the same place, everything always running toward the 0 point. Let's put off all these difficult discussions. They should wait until we're old.
Rubeus Hagrid, keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. Of course, you know all about Hogwarts.
Sorry, no.
No? Blimey, Harry, didn't you ever wonder where your mum and dad learned it all?
The danger, is there not, for all those people who have capacity, gift, is that they think they are superior, first of all. They think they are the salt of the earth. They're people specially chosen and apart. And with that feeling of apartness, of chosen, all the evils come. They are antisocial, individualistic, aggressive, extraordinarily self-centered, like all gifted people. So gift and capacity is a danger, is it not? Not that one can avoid the gift or the capacity, but one must be aware of the implications, the dangers of it.
The Hindu. I don't think we get the whole picture of meditation unless we also understand the extrasensory perception, healing, thought over matter, and all the rest of it. I believe Duke University in Carolina has been experimenting on this problem. And also it has been the Tibetan and the Hindu tradition that the deeper you get into meditation, there are certain what they call siddhis, which are, how would you translate, powers as capacities which are not sensory. That defy all logic, like levitation, which I have seen actually with several others. It wasn't just my individual experience. And also, when one goes into this question of meditation profoundly, not as a theory but an actuality in daily life, these powers or these capacities come into being. As I said, I'm not talking about anything which isn't actual to me personally. And one has to be very careful not to be entangled in those, because they lead to all kinds of undesirable activities. And so a really profoundly religious man who is really part of meditation and sacredness, though these capacities arise, they should be treated as childish toys. Because unless one is very careful, they can be utilized for personal benefit, for personal, for exploitation, all that involved in it. And say, for instance, healing. One has that capacity from childhood if one has gone into it. The speaker has had that thing right from the beginning of his infancy. You collect a lot of undesirable people around you. You begin to, unless you are very, very sane, that becomes a means of exploiting people. So, don't touch that at any price till this is right. You follow? So
Yes,
till
I do, yes.
till you are really founded in goodness, till you are really in your heart of hearts are really good. Others may do you damage, others may take you to court, do anything they like, but you are established there. And then perhaps the other thing will come naturally. But if you pursue the other, then you are in for trouble. And there are people now from India peddling Kundalini. You understand, sir?
Trying to release an energy.
For these monstrous people. You see, some of the monks or sannyasis in India want to awaken this. Some of them do. You know, the whole idea. But you see, there are traditional Hindus, traditionally, rituals and, all that, and this becomes a monstrous energy, and in which they are using for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like generals having superpower. See, that's why those people who, they say, as you become good, you'll have powers, clairvoyance, etc., etc. Don't touch them. You may have them, but don't go turn your back on them.
if you're wise and perceptive enough, you can work out someone's birthday from their zodiac sign, not the other way around. I do see a lot of Scorpio-like traits. I see a lot of similarities between him and me, but I don't think he's a Scorpio. I think he told me when his birthday was, but I forgot, because I have this stupid chronic fatigue syndrome and whatever else problem. I forget a lot of information easily, so I can only figure out his birthday by looking at like the dates, how old he was when like certain news stories came out about him, like when he was arrested, when he was sentenced, what ages he was on those dates, things like that. I think he told me his birthday was in October or November though, or possibly December. So and also that matches up with that time scale that the news articles say. But on his Deviant, I found an old DeviantArt page which had nothing on it, but it said his birthday was February something. I think he probably just clicked random buttons. I don't think that's accurate. It's actually like 7, it's 8 AM now on a Sunday morning, and this is about as quiet as the main road ever gets. This is about as quiet as it gets, really. There's someone going along there, did you see that? Looked like they were cycling along there. You're not really supposed to go along that far right side of there, because there's no verge there. There's no path. It was weird. I couldn't see what they were properly. Well, yeah, this town used to be a lot quieter. Obviously, like the daytime traffic was a lot closer to this. And after about 7:30 PM at night, it was so quiet in this town. It was lovely. Yeah, not anymore. The magic I do is kind of low level stuff. It's like kind of basic stuff, and I don't have much control over it. I do believe in witchcraft, but I also think like what is real is it differs between person to person. It's kind of like we all have our own experience, but we can interface with each other's, and somehow the experiences that we're having modify themselves so in such a way that we can interface with each other, and we feel like we're having a shared experience when we're really not. That's kind of like a meta level interpretation. It's really kind of hard to get your head around, but it makes a lot of sense if you try to understand what's actually going on. I don't know any witches, you know, I've never really met anyone who could perform witchcraft, but my friend says he knows someone who's like claims to, which he meets a lot of people. God, it's getting noisy. It's like 8:30 now. Sunday morning. But in A Song of Ice and Fire, right? He writes, magic is a sword with no hilt, no safe way to grasp it. So it's like kind of like a double-edged sword. I kind of agree with that. I kind of feel like if there are people doing witchcraft, I wouldn't say it necessarily as bad as what the Catholics would make out, but I wouldn't say it's like evil necessarily or satanic, but it's probably kind of something that's kind of dangerous and risky, and it probably is more towards a neutral sort of morality. Like it's not like good magic, it's like kind of, it's hard to explain. Like if you read, look at Game of Thrones, or you read the book, you look at this Melisandre, right? She's neither kind of good or evil. I mean, depend how you interpret it personally, but that's the sense that I got. She's not like pure good or pure evil. It's kind of this weird like middle ground, kind of creepy. Whereas like if there ever were people like who are doing like white magic, like what I would think of like the druids, right? If those people ever existed, then I'm not sure they really exist anymore, or if they do, they're like very rare. It's not like you're not going to have like communities of them. And I also think that's different from shamanism. I view shamanism as something quite different to witchcraft, right? Which is interesting because like it kind of shouldn't be, if you think about like what are the limitations of what people can do and what are the things that people tend to gravitate towards wanting to do. You'd think they would sort of overlap, but I don't know, it's interesting. It's not it's not a topic I'm really into, but I mean, I'm kind of glad that the world is predictable. When I go to cut my hair, like I'm glad that the scissors don't like move by an inch, like unpredictably, and could cut my ear off. I'm glad that the world is like predictable in a certain way. You get what I mean? That was something I was thinking about the other day. When I was in prison, I met this other guy as well, who was Polish, and he told me he was like he'd been dabbling with like kind of like ritual magic. Like he wanted to prove whether the supernatural existed or not, or something like that. Do you get what I mean? He had this like very simplistic view of it, right? And so I don't know, he did some things kind of like sacrificing a chicken or something like that. I don't know. Something dark and unpleasant that I wouldn't do. And he said, yeah, nothing happened. But A, it's not that simple. B, how do you know something didn't happen? How do you know that the results were just not what you expected, and the results of it were just not something you could perceive, right? Look at the situation you've got yourself into. Maybe you've like manifested that darkness onto yourself. I mean, to be honest, if you're already doing that sort of stuff, you're in a bad state of mind, right? But how do you know that it didn't, lead to your situation getting worse or whatever? Lead to your becoming more violent or getting into this situation where you've lost your freedom or whatever. But yeah, that guy was kind of had some fucking issues. I mean, he had the other weird thing was like he was extremely right wing, but he also, well, firstly, he wasn't from this country, and secondly, he had a non-traditional sexuality, which is, again, you know, strange. He seemed like a genuine person, though. I don't think he was some kind of like prop, like a stage prop, you know. I don't think he was being used to execute some sort of trickery. I think he was a genuine person who was just very fucked up in the head. But that's not to say that that is the sort of prerequisite for having those sorts of views. But yeah.
You leave some comments, people like your comments, and then you get invited on Brutus the British's stream a couple of weeks ago, and here I am, full time, you know.
No, before you know, you're getting mic cut by Hunter.
Yeah.
What was that you said about me?
Right, Hemiford, introduce yourself, Hemiford.
How dare you?
Hemiford, introduce
I'm
yourself.
Hemiford. I started off my podcast career by being mic cut by Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people have more important things to say, you know?
Yeah.
Hunter, introduce yourself, please.
My name is Claire Core's spouse. You know, dating her for quite a while now, against Vinny's wishes. You know, we've been together for a while.
Mate, she seems to run off whenever you mentioned her.
I put this because I put her back in the cage because you're so close to me.
Do you remember whenever you said Hunter was coming on and she made a leg? Made a leg for it.
Because I put her back in the cage, mate. I put her back in the cage with all of the you know, teriyaki and stuff. The teriyaki seeds.
Okay,
Good stuff.
Introduce yourself.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, hello. I'm Caber. I'm just a humble meme farmer. Okay, so think about for a moment the way that English life existed for millennia. Okay, and I'm counting myself as a nominal Englishman for the sake of this, you know, because on a genetic level, pretty close. We existed basically as agrarian people forever, with, you know, cottage industry basically being everything that we did. So most of our existence actually was in the English countryside, among trees, a small clique of people that we knew personally, and that was about it. That's what we're used to. And the city life, in my opinion, is completely alien to our natural disposition. The same thing happened in America, all the way into the late 1800s. 80% of the population of America lived in rural areas of the country. We were an agrarian people, and the cities were a scant, tiny fraction of the population. So on a psychological level, what we are living through right now is completely unnatural. And I think that they're, you know, plus minus. It's really a plus minus. I think that the cities are bloated. I think they're too big, and they're full of people that are not us, basically. So I think that staying in the cities is a lot, because another way of thinking about that is Berlin in the 1920s and 30s or whatever. It only took a few hundred dedicated people to retake Berlin.
You talk about the Freikorps.
Yeah.
Do we believe there's an ounce of grassroots at all involved in the Brexit Party, though?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, but can we clarify, boys? Because I've been talking.
That's why they're pointing it out.
I've been talking with my mum about this, and she's wavering. She can't work it out because when I pointed out that, Mum, you're going to have to go to the booth, and it's basically Sargon of Akkad or Nigel type thing, and I said it's deeper than that. One represents UKIP, one's like a sham party. Nigel's he's a bit weird nowadays. He's not the man of the Brexit,
Well, I'm wavering.
So everyone I know is wavering. That's my point, like, you know.
Well,
but I agree. I'm UKIP till I die. Like you know, that's what I'm trying to promote. But I'm lacking the arguments as to why. Everyone I talk to is like, "Oh no, I'm sticking with Nigel," and because I agree. We should just keep going with UKIP. But then I'd literally be going down to the booth, and it will say Carl Benjamin. I mean, what timeline is this? You know.
Addicts.
Richmond Addicts Anonymous.
I'm shooting up as we speak.
The American bookstore. It's an online bookstore. I believe you made an order.
What did I make an order for?
I'm sure it was a book by Loki. Have you read Loki?
How did you get my number?
It was on Discord. Someone's just put it up in the chat. How's it going, Carl? How's things?
Good day. Yeah, pretty good, man. How are you doing?
Good stuff, good stuff. Not too bad, mate, not too bad. I've also got Paul Joseph Watson's number. I'm going to give him a call in a minute, see how he's getting on.
Why are you doing that?
It's funny.
Oh, okay.
How's things anyway? How's life? What happened with Patreon? Have you sorted it?
Pretty great. Well, obviously not. They're not going to back down, are they?
What about this other one? What's the other one called? The one that, what's he called? Jordan Peterson. Subscribe side, that's it, yeah. Are they still going?
Oh, no, Jordan Peterson's one hasn't been released yet.
Oh, for God's sake.
But, yeah, well, you know, hopefully you get something sorted, isn't it?
Well, it's cut a good chunk of the old income off, and I mean, how are you surviving?
Well, I think I'll be alright. But, anyway, have fun calling Paul Joseph Watson, I guess.
I will do. All right, take care.
He's a lot less talkative than I am, so, you know.
Oh, yeah.
勝利もいいでこちらに近づいているならば一方的な対話で終わらせずに腹ば住民と色それぞれで無理に追求ドラマ私は身もさましとなう上国は灼熱地獄だ地上をやられた者たちのバスと昔の話をしようなんて言うからはいないみんな多少なりともすねりきつもしてなかなか近い背景を探る夏のどこの暗黙の理を書いたけどただ一つの例外としてどうぞ構えてやった何か聞きたいあるし茶腹将棋で出すくけど誰もが疑わないこいつは背でもついて泳ぎ出すくらいの噂がないわく見つめ使い見つめるいわくこちらだ何をされたかを静けずいわく相手の頭の中すら影響るいわく眠れる思い出したくない記憶呼び起こすロスカートはないとだやんをいただ春と出会ってから他少なく笑いなくな組みを高いしやいむここじゃ珍しくない唇かなり焼けみな口揃えていってるのさ化け物が住んでるってな腹の中でぶつでいたいやろ見透かされているだけ頭の中でこのフェスが誰が一番かいなふうにしてるやつら妖怪の会は誰も連れてる時間の中目を覚ましの愛はステンドクラスに映るシルエット地下クラス仕掛けを見る目に前後深くベッド上のシーツけをチーツけいつれ超増えとこついつけことの闇だとこん暗闇にショートカット上でバグになるって唯一のに真相心理に問いかけるプリチョーフが追いかける誰かの腫れ物まで落ちたつにも誰この方は体でわからないの って飲み込まれず帰ってるかな上も下もミッキーならいでいい嫌われてる誰か聞いてるちょっと待ったすぐそこまで来てるってな歌詞が理解しが大行動も仕方がないが控えの像はスターイエス違う違い方言しきりに目配り誰もいないよ、yeah、果たして存在はしているのか震えているのは恐れているからか CM を除くとして CM をお前を解いているバスユフェルの中でぶつでいたいなら家を僕らで見透かされているだけ頭の中でこぼかしてか誰だいっぱい帰るふりしてるやつら妖怪の狩りは誰も連れてる時間がなか目をパパついてまう今見るとめるな聞いてもかすか妖怪の狩りは便利魂とらんな会いたいなら姿を表すもの会いたいしたなら何振りかもざくしにさらねば取り込まれる闇の中飲み込まれる心の闇だ色がりくらたりの中に教えるまた一人とセルフが気にしるように知る言葉当たり当ててもないを覚ますとラブワン
I'll leave you with one hot take. Here's the hot take. The movie Bird Box is Luciferian. Bird Box is 100% Luciferian. And it's a very oblique Luciferian model and concept. Apocalypse. The apocalypse is the lifting of the veil. You go from being blind to having sight. You go from ignorance to knowledge. The movie Bird Box was all about telling normies to shut up and quiet down. Don't look, don't understand. Don't look at what's going on in reality. Shut up and listen to what we have to tell you, okay? The entire movie was about keeping your eyes closed. The whole movie was about staying ignorant of reality. And the people who saw reality were called insane. Now, I'm not, the people who wrote that I don't agree with them at all. But do note that they always defined the people who did look at reality as being insane. And look at the end of the movie. What happened at the end of the movie? The end of the movie was them going into a larger prison colony.
Yeah, a multi-cult as well. She's surrounded by all sorts of wrong uns.
So check this out. In the novelization, the colony, the safe space, was an area where everyone agreed to tear out their eyes. So permanent ignorance. And if you look at the movie and in the novel, they never resolve the problem of the monsters. The critters are ever present. They always exist, and the only solution is to stay permanently ignorant, to close your eyes forever. That movie is, in the negative sense, it's Luciferian. It's created by people who are anti-life, they are anti-reality, and they are basically morality, ethics. They're anti-everything. They stand for the opposite of what I stand for. And that's not the only movie that does things like that. There are a lot of movies that have been coming out recently, and I think that's not the hot take. This is the hot take. The hot take is that Bird Box was a desperate attempt on their part to encourage people to remain ignorant. They are aware that people are taking the blinders off and they're terrified of it. And they're trying to create media to encourage people to stay ignorant, which suggests that we're winning. That's the actual hot take of Bird Box. We're doing well.
The world insanity that I asked when I started seeing it was, why now? Why year? Because it started in 2020, early 2020. So why 2020, not 2018? Not 2026. It's not, again, like I say, it's not random. It's not accidental that it's starting at the particular time it is. So what's the message? What's the message that our current experience is going through this now? And that was something that I took tried to get a lot of time with, to try to figure out, because it's not random. Is it hiding something? Is it like, what is the overlay it's trying to lay into from the standpoint of the totality of what we know of as existence?
And obviously 2020, and like everyone was talking about 2020 vision, which is something I see popping up all the time that with this AI, there seems to be some other good AI that's sort of in there. It just pops things out that they just don't seem to fit, but they're these messages. Like I don't think that, you know, the cabal would have had, let's give everyone 2020 vision of what we're doing as their reason to pick that year, if you know what I mean. But yet we still got that message come through. So it's interesting. But I mean, I was thinking last night, because I've thought since this started that I think they've had to go too fast. I think they've been pushed, and this is all coming out. I think they expected to roll this out over 5 or 6 years or longer, and they've had to do it quicker. And I think it's because of what went on in the USA. It just sort of came to me the other day, you know, obviously, you know, if you're the cabal, the wrong person was in power for 4 years. So that kind of put them back 4 years. And unless, of course, you know, he's part of the whole system. It depends how you see it. But
yeah, so I've not been able to speak to my friend for 3 years, but don't worry, I've turned him into a AI system. Yeah, don't worry, I've turned you into like this, you know, this I've turned you into this, you know. See, I wondered if he was a Scorpio, which is what I am, because we had a similar attitude towards sex and pornography, but he has way more experience than I do. It could be because we both have come from a similar culture, and we both have some degree of autism. The opposite sign is Taurus. I think that could be what my dad is. I think my nephew is also Taurus. Gemstone, topaz or ruby. Color, black or deep red. I like black. Deep red is like Rin's color, Archer's color as well, you know. Deep red. Metal, iron or steel.
I am the bone of my sword. Steel is my body, and fire is my blood. I have created over 1,000 blades, unknown to death, more known to life. Have withstood pain, freak many weapons. Yet those hands will never hold any. So, as I pray, unlimited blade works.
Polarity feminine. I don't really know what that means. Reminds me of like something where like some female animals were like more likely to eat the male ones or something. Like they're more powerful, they're more dangerous, the females or something. They're more vicious. Maybe that has something to do with the scorpion. As a Scorpio, you're probably aware of your well-known reputation. You're intense, passionate, and can be intimidating to others. But there's more to you than meets the eye. Scorpios are also fiercely loyal, protective, and have deep wells of empathy. You are a complex and fascinating person, and anyone who takes the time to get to know you are sure to be rewarded. See, this is why I wondered if he was a Scorpio as well, but I really don't think so. I said, like, I think his birthday falls in like a period of autumn or winter, so there's probably like 3 or 4 signs that he could be, but I'm pretty sure he's Sagittarius. Scorpio, obsessive, devious, manipulative, vindictive, inflexible. Resilient, focused, inquisitive, dedicated, deep. Okay, we'll get into the actual interpretation now. So Sagittarius is a fire sign. They have the Archer sign. They're adventurous, energetic, optimistic, confident, but they're scholarly, they're typically like interested in geography, they're very social, they sort of spread ideas around, they're quite philosophical, enthusiastic, forgiving, generous, the negative, reckless, restless, argumentative, fanatic, preachy, yeah, definitely. Polarity is masculine, whatever that means. Color is purple. Okay. Their opposite sign is Gemini. My niece is a Gemini, I think. Ruling planet is Jupiter. Okay. I know another Sagittarius, which is Athena Bambina. I think she's Sagittarius. So the Sagittarius is the warrior poet, basically. Sagittarius is an optimistic sign associated with expansion, idealism, religion, and philosophy. They are direct and forthright, good-natured and affirmative in their outlook. They tend to speak with a blunt tongue, which can get them into trouble at times. Sagittarians display honesty, humour, and a strong moral nature. That's certainly the case. Key word is idealize. Sagittarius of the 9th house. Okay. So if you search 9th house in astrology, I think it's to do with wisdom and learning and stuff like this. Okay. Yeah, it's described as the house of philosophy and greater wisdom. And it's related to growth, education, travel, or the communication of thoughts. All philosophical research and understanding fall under the rulership of this 9th house. It says law here as well. It says law at the bottom. My friend was actually pretty knowledgeable at law, which was interesting. About law, yeah. But like it says, he's also, reckless, which is kind of funny. So this one, you might not take it too seriously. It's kind of like one of these kind of fridge magnet tier, like, lists. They are the most energetic people. They are so adventurous. Well, not when they're in prison. You can't really tell, can you? They are generous, optimistic, and independent. Yes, he is. He is very independent for his age. He was only about 20, and he was doing a lot of stuff. He seemed very like business-minded, entrepreneurial. You know, he had a website. You know, he had a lot of people that he was working with. He was like talking to people who were much, you know, famous, that were older than him, that had a lot more followers, and he was doing all sorts of things. I mean, he offered he offered to hire me, like when I first met him, and I hadn't known him for very long. He offered to hire me, you know. It's like, yeah, I'll be doing. He was like, yeah, I'll be doing loads of stuff when I get out of here, and I'll need someone to help me. But I'm not very, you know, I'm ill, and I'm also not a hard-working person. I haven't had a job for a long time. But then this was before COVID hit. Then the COVID thing hit, you know, and I don't think, you know, he didn't know how long of a sentence he was going to get, you know, and all this and whatever. Sagittarians are brutally honest. Yeah. He said I was like a volcel, like a voluntary celibate or something. He said, you're not an incel, you're like a volcel. He said I was a tradition. He was just memeing. He was like, oh, I'm a traditional Japanese incel. Traditional Japanese incel, which is like, you know, the stereotypical anime fan. They will not take crap from anyone. Yeah, my friend would basically like start a fight with the guards if the guards were doing something that was like out of order. They are freedom seekers that love to travel a lot. I think my friend did drive, but then most people do at that age. But I know he travelled to Germany. I don't know why. I don't really know why he felt that was necessary, but he travelled to Germany. I know he travelled to a lot of like these speaking events and things. I get the impression he travelled a lot. He told me he tried to get with like Lawrence Southern, but he got blocked. Okay, yeah. They're spontaneous and extremely hard to handle. Yeah, a little bit. He definitely seems spontaneous to me. They're level-headed and hold a lot of wisdom. Well, yeah, but not when you're like 20, right? Sagittarians have a great sense of humor and are sarcastic at times. Yeah, he was very a comedic person. I told him this joke scene about this scene from this show. I don't think he was familiar with it, or they should have been, and he was like laughing his ass off, and he was like, yeah, it was worth coming to prison just to hear that joke. Yeah, he liked his memes and stuff. Sagittarians will keep a smile on their face even when they're hurt. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Dude was like not in a good place mentally when I met him, you know. I don't know if that's normal for him, or I don't know. Maybe towards the end he was just going a bit fucking crazy. But I mean, when I was younger, I wasn't the most mentally stable of people either, so they're the greatest friends that you can't find anywhere else. Well, this is in contradiction to something else I read. I like the co-star astrology is pretty good, this one. The co-star astrology tends to be very accurate, I've found. It's very, the points it makes are very poignant, very gets right to the most important things, you know. But you kind of got to take into account all these other things as well. There's this one, the co-star astrology, you see. It's quite descriptive. Sagittarius is both a warrior and a poet. Yeah, my friend was very, very good at poetry. Like, on a level that I've never seen before. Just most people just don't have any interest in poetry. You know, I have a little bit of appreciation for it, but it's not something I'm really interested in. They're one of the most magnanimous and worldly signs in the Zodiac. Their boundless optimism is infectious. It can be hard for them to focus, but once they have their mindset on something, they'll stop at nothing to achieve it. Their ability to overcome insurmountable challenges is a testament to their adaptable strength. Generous, yeah, he was very generous. There was some kid that was being bullied by this like dark-haired pretty boy, like dickhead, right? And my friend like intervened or something to try and like help this. I forget the exact details. Something about a PlayStation or something, and it was like, I don't know, was it annoying this guy or something? I don't know. It's like too loud. I don't know. My memory's awful. Can't remember things that happened 3 years ago. But yeah, there was this like highly autistic kid or whatever, and he was like, yeah, he was actually in jail because he was like living in a home, because he was so like off the rails or whatever. He was, you know, special needs, and like he'd like smashed up, like he'd caused like £1 million worth of damage or something to this home or something, and they were just like, fuck, what can we do with him? We'll have to put him in prison or something. And this guy would go to the library and he would get like loads of huge like fantasy books, and he'd just read them all. And yeah, you could tell he was quite special needs. I think that was the guy that was getting like bullied or something by this other one, and my friend I think intervened, and because of that he got in trouble with the guards or something, and that, I think that might have been why he lost his because he had enhanced IEP, which is like you get it from like working hard and stuff, and he'd only been there for a few months and he managed to get that by like washing the floors or whatever. So yeah, he got that and then he lost it, and I think he lost it because he was getting into arguments with the guards over just like things that were going on that were not right, and just the way people were. And my friend had just like figured out everything, you know, he knew about everyone who was there, what they were really like, he knew all the rules, he knew what the staff were like. He'd figured it all out like very quickly. Something that I personally I could do it, but it would take me much longer, and I wouldn't know all the rules and stuff. That he read books very quickly compared to me. Yeah, very talented person.